So today we are talking about supply and demand and how buyers and sellers interact. So supply and demand is a model for understanding the determination of a quantity of a good sold on the market.
Such as?
An example would be a price of a new iPhone when it's released. So the supply is the amount of iPhones available and the demand is the amount of people who want to buy the iPhone. Buyers would be the people waiting in line outside of the Apple store, and sellers would be the CEO of Apple. So we have a perfect and imperfect market. A perfect market is when there are so many buyers or sellers that no single buyer or seller can affect market prices, and an imperfect market is when a single buyer or seller has the power to influence market prices.
Okay, so we're going to talk about demand. Demand is the willingness and ability to pay. There's a lot of factors we have to consider when talking about demand. For example, the quantity demanded. The quantity demanded, also known as QD, it depends on the price of a good, the income and wealth of a consumer or buyer. Prices are substitutes and complements. A substitute is something a consumer may see as the same or similar to another product, for example, coffee brands. And complements. Complements are something, a product that shares a beneficial relationship with another product. For example, hot dog buns and hot dogs. Can't buy them separate, doesn't make any sense. And then when we talk about the law of demand and demand curve, we're going to consider that everything remaining the same will depend on the price going up or down. For example, if the price of a good rises and everything else remains the same, the quantity demanded will fall. And then we'll talk about the demand curve, changes or shifts, and the demand versus quantity demanded later.
Now we're going to talk about supply, and supply is not just the amount of something there, but it's the willingness and ability of potential sellers to produce and sell the product. So the quantity supplied, or QS, is the total amount of good that sellers would choose to produce, and it's dependent on certain determinants such as the price of the good, the price of production, the price of alternative products, technology, and expectations of future products. So for price of alternative products, if the price of a different product were to go up, then the supply of your product would also go up. And for technology, if you have advanced technology, you're going to have a greater supply being made. And expectations of future products, if you expect the product price to go up, then the supply is going to go down. And then we have the law of supply, which states that if the price goes up, the quantity supplied will also go up. And then there are different things like the supply curve, changes and shifts in the supply curve, and also supply versus quantity supplied, which we'll go over later.
So demand versus quantity demanded and supply versus quantity supplied go hand in hand. Demand is the entire relationship between prices and quantity of the product or service people want at that certain price. And this is referring to the demand curve. So QD is a particular point on the demand curve. An increase in demand would be the whole curve shifting due to the determinants listed before. And an increase in QD would be a shift along the demand curve, and this is caused by a price fluctuation. And similarly, we also have supply versus quantity supplied. Supply is the entire relationship between prices and quantity of a product supplied at that certain price. This is also known as the supply curve. QS is a particular point on the supply curve. So an increase in supply would cause the whole curve to shift due to the determinants listed before, and an increase in QS would be a shift along the supply curve, and this would be caused by price fluctuation.
There's beneficial value.
Then the supply of this one would go. Then you're going to have a, oh my god.
So scary. I'm sorry. Okay. I just need a second. So an increase in supply would cause